Welcome to the latest edition of the Omni Talk Spotlight Series, the series that highlights the people, the companies, and the technologies that are shaping the future of retail. I'm your host, Chris Walton.
And I'm Ann Mazinga.
And today we have invited two guests onto our show to discuss what, and I know you know this, but it is my personal all-time favorite topic. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Yes. And
let's do it.
Of course, I am talking about retail inventory planning and allocation. Love it. Can't get enough of it. And specifically, we're going to talk about today the impact that AI is having and also not having on it going forward. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce James Toyakoff, the co-founder and CEO of Syrup Tech, and Carla Roger Casacuberta, the head of merchandising at Desigual. James and Carla, welcome to Omni Talk.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, Chris.
We're excited to have you both on the show. Carla, as I have told you, Desigual, one of my favorite retailers, and James, also one of yours, I take it, because you are head to toe decked out in Desigual for this conversation today. So well done, my friend.
Thank you. They say put yourself in your customer's shoes, right? Or wear your customer's clothes.
If Desigual was my customer, I would be doing the exact same thing. I guarantee it. Well, let's dive right into the conversation. I want to start with this question first. Carla, I'm going to go to you. I have a question. So if someone came to you, we have a major retailer, they said, I heard AI is great for this. I'm going to turn my entire inventory planning and allocation process for my physical retail stores over to AI. How would you respond to that individual?
Well, I would respond that I prefer choosing a good balance between AI and the human intelligence, because I really think that AI is a great opportunity, is a fantastic tool that we must embrace with open arms.
Okay.
But this does not mean that we have to give up human intelligence, because thanks to AI, human intelligence will be able to contribute more value than ever. For example, in our case, in Desigual, we really focus on telling stories in our stores, and AI will help us to optimize the assortment that we send. But of course, we will also need human intelligence to provide us the emotional part, the art that will be also crucial to connect with our final customer. So I would always recommend balancing both intelligences, because both together will help us to reach even to a better result.
So Carla, I want to push you a little bit on this, and then James, curious your take too. Like, is that statement even possible in a physical retail operation? Could you even do that, or is it absolutely foolish to even think that it's possible? Carla, what do you think?
That it's possible just using AI?
Just using AI to manage your stores, manage your inventory, manage your planning and allocation. Could you just use AI?
I mean, I think you could, but you could also miss lots of opportunities, because
right.
AI, the Excel, all the calculations, they give you some figures, but sometimes once you go to the store, you could detect that, for example, you need more than just one unit of your best-selling bag, because you need it in the windows, you need it also to have it display it in several parts, different areas of the store. So I really think we could miss lots of opportunities or mistakes if we just focus into the AI.
That's a great, so you could, but it probably wouldn't be the results wouldn't be great. That's what you're saying,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
I always think we need to have a contrast with the human intelligence, where the human with all the experience is also able to give the value and to analyze if what we are proposing has sense or not.
And Carla, do you feel like that retailers have, I'm kind of surprised to hear that it could completely be automated. Do you think that retailers have input enough information right now into the AI engines that it's ready to handle those things, or other issues that might come if you just did AI, or are we still in the early innings of that?
I think it depends on the companies and on the dimension of the companies, but for sure, lots of companies and big retailers, for sure, they are using a lot of AI in all their operations. Definitely.
And James, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you fall? I mean, you're managing a large tech company, like you probably work in and out in this day to day. Like, where do you think that retailers should approach this? How do you think they should approach this based on what Carla said?
I completely agree with Carla. I think the
Okay.
the real opportunity here is marrying art and science, right? And that AI can be a smart start, or increase the baseline that you're operating against. But by no means, I think, is this a replacing the brilliance of merchandising and planning teams. Much more, it's actually unleashing that brilliance, right? Of having a lot of the painful manual work, have that be taken over by AI, or things that, components that you as a human, there's no way that you could know that in New York 2 years ago, this week in May was really warm, and that's why we saw a certain trend.
Right.
That's impossible to do, right? As a human, and AI is phenomenal at doing that. But I think, exactly as Carla said, right, the touches of, oh no, our strategy is to add elements here or elements there, or we have an understanding about our collection, about the future that even the best AI in the world doesn't understand. That's really the magic of this.
Right. Right. I love this. I love this conversation to start. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox a little bit too, because I 100% agree with you guys. I mean, you could, and particularly for physical stores are different than online stores, but for physical stores, you could try to do this. If you're a retail executive thinking you can do all of your planning and allocation through AI, you could, but I can tell you it's not going to work, because there are so many wrinkles that you have to consider, and the art does have to marry the science. So, and that's, James, that's why I love having you both on this show, because your company's based on AI optimization for retail planning and allocation. You're basically saying, like, yeah, but there's a point where it can't be used to do everything. You have to use it smartly. And so that's what we want to talk about next. So, with that first question out of the way, where can AI most help the inventory planning and allocation process? James, like, where should retailers start from that standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is there's a lot of areas, right, where AI can have an impact. And I think we're living through a seismic shift in technology that will affect all of our lives, that will affect all inventory workflows as well. What AI is particularly good at is taking in a huge amount of data, right? Both historical data then as real-time data, to use that to make first predictions, and then based on predictions, optimizations, right? On the predictions front, that means that forecasting, for example, demand forecasting or supply forecasting, that's a great use case that you can leverage AI for, both for continuity styles, but also for the newness styles. And then what we always recommend is not just doing forecasting for the sake of forecasting, but linking that to a use case, right? And there, in-season movements are a fantastic one, because you can see the impact quickly. So things like inventory replenishments or allocations or rebalancings or in-season reorders or chase orders. But you could also start with buying, right? Collection buying, and then the podcast is called Omni Talk, right? So all the omni-channel world is just this amazing opportunity, right? Of figuring out, how do you get the right product in the right location, in a world where we're doing buy online, ship from store, buy online, return in store, buy online, pick up in store. That's exploded the combinatorics of things, and AI, that's where AI really shines.
So unwrap that for me, James. So like, as say I'm a lay person, in retail, or, maybe I have some familiarity with retail planning and allocation, but maybe not as much as I want. What are some of the elements, like maybe we'll double click into forecasting or any of the omnichannel capabilities you said? What are some of the elements that you bring to the table through your utilization of AI? What are some examples that you're bringing to the table that help improve the process?
100%. So we can talk about both if you like. So on the forecasting front, what we're doing is not just taking historical data and then extrapolating that into the future, right? Which is really a lot of how forecasting was done previously, right? We look at a seasonality trend in LY and LLY, and then we extrapolate. And so we're using a lot more data, a lot of real-time data. So think of this as being things like real-time weather forecasts or real-time trends, or trends that we can pick up from social media, like Barbie pink is a great example, right? Picking that up in real time allows you to respond to that. The other thing that allows you to do is to go a lot more granular, right? So traditionally, the way that forecasting was done was forecasting at a category level, maybe at a style level, maybe even at a style color level. But once you go down to that style color size and style color size location level, traditional methods break down. And that's where we're seeing, tremendous impact from from using Syrup and from using an AI first approach, is at that hyper granular level, coupled with the ability to respond much faster than you traditionally could, right? The second component is this optimization component, right? So it's not just there's a better view of the future, but it's now that we have a better view of the future and we know that it's probabilistic, right? What's the likelihood of this item and this color and this location selling over this time period? We can start optimizing, right? And that's where Carla's point from the beginning comes in. How do we layer in our brand and retailer strategy on top of that, right? Like how do we make sure that we're respecting store capacity, that we're respecting business logic, pre-packs, bundles, markdowns? There's this whole complex set of retail logic that we allow our customers to infuse onto the engine, and that combination is really powerful, right? Like a more precise, more granular view of the future, coupled with your full business logic, that then we can give recommendations, and they end up still being recommendations that the end user can accept, edit, or reject. But that's how it works, Chris.
Well, and that's, James, what my question was is, I mean, am I oversimplifying it in that you're leveraging the Syrup technology and AI in this case so that you can have more scenarios put in front of the planner or the buyer, so that they can see, like, here are the steps, if this then this, and then you're able to make better decisions instead of having to do all those computations manually as they were doing before?
Exactly. Think of it as a smart start in many ways, right?
Okay.
Of where you have this really intelligent, completely unbiased planner in the room, who's giving you a first set, right? And one of our product leaders loves saying this, like, the algorithms has no ego, and it really doesn't, right? If you want to change things, you always can, but that's how we think about it. The truth is, like, we have a lot of our customers who then automate a bunch of processes as well. They start trusting the engine so much, and they're like, hey, this works really well. Actually, this will just like auto release. But it's a smart start, right? Where you can then always change, fine tune areas. It's like, I don't know if Carla or Carla's team, like, I don't like this, they can change it, right? And the algorithm won't be offended by those changes.
Well, and Carla, I want to hear from you. I mean, does that is what James saying, does that resonate with you and your teams and what they've seen from utilizing this technology?
Exactly. This is, to me, exactly what is happening. Like, the team doesn't really need to go so deep in all the analytics. The AI is doing all these analytics, and it's doing even better because the level of granularity is really as deep as you want to go. But then they can add this human intelligence value, taking the best decisions for the company. So I think it's the best mixture, right? Because then, of course, in our case, while we are moving the bestsellers from one store to another store, then also their common sense helps them to take the best decisions.
Right.
But AI is giving them all the analytics and proposing what they should be doing in order to optimize sales. So I'm completely aligned with what James was explaining.
And I imagine allowing those planners to focus on more real-time or immediate decisions, or, something blows up on social media and they have to respond to those things instead of spending that time in the weeds doing the analytics.
Exactly. They really spend time where they are really adding value, and they don't have to waste their time in all those analytics, while AI is giving all that analytics in a really short time.
Yeah, James, you said the phrase "smart start," in quotes. I love that too, because having done this job at the Gap, like, there's a ton of work that goes into that smart start for the average analyst too. And so you're basically saying, like, hey, we can do that for you and you can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But, generally speaking, it's probably going to work part and parcel, and that can alleviate a heck of a lot of workload off their plate. So I think that's a really interesting point to just emphasize here. But all right, so I want to move forward a little bit here, and I want to ask you guys, because you both have said, it's a marriage of art and science to do this well. And like I said, I used to do this at the Gap, and so, but I think marrying art and science is easier said than done. And my experience is actually pre-AI too, so I have no idea, fundamentally what that looks like in today's world. So how do you actually work through this organizationally across your two companies? What does this actually look like in practice? James, why don't you start with that one?
Absolutely. And I think it's a great point, Chris. This is not just software, right? And I think this idea of, hey, we can just toss over a classical, self-onboarding SaaS product and off you go, that just won't work. Right. So there's organizationally, there's a pretty deep partnership actually between our customer experience teams, our data science teams, and our customers teams, where during onboarding there's a few sessions where we include all of this business logic and this business strategy. So Syrup, it's not just pure forecasting, as we've mentioned, but there is a customization or configuration layer, and actually configuration layer is the right word. We're not customizing code per customer, but there is this layer effectively that allows our customers to include their very own business logic onto that. If there's one thing that we've learned from working with now over 20 brands and retailers, that every single one is a little bit different, right? And so there's
putting it mildly, James.
Yeah, right. So there really is the need, I think, for that one, close collaboration between teams, but two, also to have the engine allow for the flexibility for our customers to be able to tailor really the engine to their needs and requirements, right? And yeah, I think that combination of the technology being flexible enough to allow for that configuration, but together with a organizational approach on our end that values, close interactions and real close partnership with our customers, that's where we've seen really, really great results.
So Carla, the former executive in me, listening to what James just said, the question I want to ask you then is, like, organizationally, how did you lead the team through this implementation? Like, what did you do to make sure that it was successful, that you were harnessing the full power of what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes or so?
Well, as I was explaining before, in the end, doing all these analytics by the people is really tough, and it spends a lot of hours. So in the end, from the beginning, we saw it like a huge opportunity for us to be able to implement the store transfers proposal through Syrup. So I really think for the team, it was a really efficient tool where they have been able to do the same work in 1/3 of the time, or in really 3 times less of time. So it was crucial. And then also the fact of being able to adjust to Desigual specific requirements was also very important, because then people also feel it more like it's their own tool. So it's also a part of the success of using now daily the tool of Syrup in our stores, and results have been also super successful.
James, you want to add some more points here?
I think just Desigual is this beautiful example, because I don't know if you know the listeners, if you've checked out Desigual lately, but I mean it's a beautiful collection, and everyone is just dramatically different, right? So it really is like a fashion company through and through, that, you know, as the name said, it thinks of it differently, or thinks of doing things differently. So for us, this partnership that we've had with Carla, with Desigual, it's been this amazing opportunity to work with a brand that's true fashion, right? And that's creating and recreating new products. And that differentiates, I think, fashion from many other, you know, industries, like, you know, consumer goods or grocery, or even, you know, more staple industries. And I think there's real benefit in specialization there and going deep, really.
Right. Which is one which brings up another point I want to ask Carla too on this topic is, like, was the effort isolated between your leadership position in merchandising and your merchandising team and the folks at Syrup, or did you have to bring other parts of the organization into the fold to make this work, to create the Desigual stores that you want to create that are unique and different by location? So if you could talk about that, I think that'd be a really interesting element for our audience too, Carla.
From my side, my team who was using this tool, they were really happy to be able to finally be able to do all those transfers, because people who come from the same sector, they are always working with that. So it was a great opportunity for us. So also working with Syrup has been always very easy, because of what we were talking before previously, that we were able to adapt the tool for Desigual's requirements. And our IT team is also very open to implement the Syrup tool and to do weekly follow-up, and to assure that everything is working. And finally, and also very important, the stores team, which are normally people who feel a bit like bad when they have to give one bestseller that they know they would sell, but another store will have it because maybe this other store is selling better. They also have seen it as a big opportunity, because in the end, results show it. So they are also now very open, and they do believe they are doing the best for the company. So I think also the commitment between all the departments has been key, and that everyone is really believing that it's the best for Desigual's performance. So I would say it has been a 360 teamwork with a fully commitment from all involved people.
Well, I want to get you both out of here, just kind of following that comment from Carla. But James, I want to start with you here. Syrup was just recently singled out by Women's Wear Daily for the impact that you're having at another retailer, Abercrombie, making you, without a doubt, the biggest expert we've had on the program here to answer this question. So I'm curious, we'll ask both of you, but James first, what advice do you have for retailers who are looking to harness the power of AI for better inventory efficiency, to do the things that Carla just outlined that her team is doing so well at Desigual?
Yeah, I would say start somewhere. Right? I think this can sound very scary. You don't need a, you know, multi-year AI transformation project that, you know, one of the large consultancies would tell you. It's a technology that's evolving so quickly, and we're all on a becoming story here, right? So I think the real advice that I would give anyone is find a partner whom you really like, and then start somewhere. And it can be as small as saying we'll single out a country and we'll do, our replenishments or store transfers or allocations or our rebuys for that. Or we'll take a portion of the collection and, we'll have like AI support a portion of the buy for that collection. I think the trick is really starting somewhere. You can start small, you can learn and iterate. And that's the key for success, as opposed to going down, this huge multi-year transformation exercise.
And that's possible, James. Like, you've seen retailers do that, where they're just testing to start in one place and they're seeing enough of an impact.
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually typically what we do, working with with the brands that we work with, that we'll start in a place. It doesn't have to be everything, everywhere all at once, but it can be, in the Desigual case, we started in Spain, right? And that expanded to Italy and France and Germany and Japan. And there's been this kind of progressive road, but you can start somewhere. I don't know if everyone offers that, but it's an approach that we take, because it just allows very, very, it allows easy change management. It allows you to see results as you're going on the way, and just allows you to start, right? And that's really the important thing, is getting over that.
Yeah. Yes. And Carla, let's go to you next. What advice do you have, especially for the many retailers out there who aspire to be like Desigual and have an art, like truly art in the store, a different experience with every store that they walk into? How do you recommend that they begin leveraging AI?
Well, I mean, AI is, as I said at the beginning of the interview, AI is a fantastic opportunity. It's an even better tool. And for all people who are dealing with planification, operations, assortment, efficiency, it's really the tool to get to the deepest level of granularity that we had never imagined before, and that it will help them take much better decisions. And then, of course, with the human intelligence that will be able to add that value and to take the best decisions. But with the AI, they will construct and build a solid basis of their work. So I really push them to start working with this fantastic tool.
Well, well said, both of you. Thank you, James, and thank you, Carla. I just can't get enough of this topic. It is in my blood. You are both welcome back anytime. James, love what you said at the end too. I mean, you guys have some credentials of taking that approach of just starting small and building out. I mean, look, Desigual, Abercrombie's having a great year. So if people want to get in touch with both of you, if they want to pick your brains even more, what's the best way for them to do that? And James, if I'm not mistaken, you're also going to be out at Shop Talk Europe too. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, we are at Shop Talk Europe in Barcelona. So at my home, at the Desiguals, and at Carlos' home, right, actually. Yeah. So booth N40 if you want to come by the syrup booth. And yeah, reach out to me anytime. I'm at James at syrup.tech, TECH. That is, you can send me an email anytime.
Awesome. And Carla, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, my email is c.roger@desigual.com, and it's going to be a pleasure to talk to anyone who has more interest to hear about it.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you both. That wraps us up. Thanks to James and Carla for sitting down with us today. And on behalf of all of us here at OmniTalk, as always, be careful out there.